What's going on, guys? We are back for off the break, coming off of the back of UFC 306, which we're going to touch on lightly before we jump into this card. But we had a really, really good week on that week. Rewinding, obviously, what we're doing right now. Sean O'Malley, Davishvili, we ran a complete sweep on the main card, even the way the fights ended outside of one. Also, we got all the fights right, and we got all the ways of victory right, except for one. So, really, really good week. Picked both and news. Mackenzie is now on a four-fight tear with her picks as well, with the picks of the week. But let's just briefly go over it. Like we said in the live stream, if you guys are members of the MadLabMMA.com, we came in on a live stream before and we break down every fight with the members. We try to find some value on some wagers. We talk about pivots and leverage and DraftKings. We go over the ownerships. So we do this a couple hours before the fight. And the one thing I did say that a couple people did take it for gospel was I said, listen, a lot of people are looking for finishes on this card. A lot of people are looking for a lot of violence, a lot of situations where they're going to be, action. Like that's what the UFC wanted. They wanted a card like this on Mexican Independence Day to be just all-out war. And I said, do not be surprised that there's going to be a lot of fights that go to the cards. It's going to flip the table. So a couple people took that as gospel. And they placed wagers on a plus 2,500, plus 2,000 in some spots for every main card fight to go to the cards, and they hit. So like little things like that we do over at the site that not a lot of people are doing is what's going to give you those edges. So overall, we had a good week. We obviously had Davishvili by decision. We have Shevchenko by decision. I still don't understand how people thought when you really break down the bones of that fight, how they really were so convicted that Grasso was going to win that fight. Like I said, I like Grasso. I come from that boxing background, so I appreciate the whole Mexican style, come forward with the boxing. But I said Valentina had that clear path, and the path was to put grappling before your striking. That's your path. And that's exactly what she did. So the next one was the Ortega-Diego Lopes. Kind of went the way we thought, right? You can have Brian Ortega rocked and put on skates in the beginning, comes back, starts growing a beard as the fight goes on. Diego Lopes ends up getting the decision win there. The one spot where we were one of the only people on was Ribovics and Zellhuber. The world was on Zellhuber, and I couldn't figure it out. Like, I couldn't figure out why people were putting so much onus and so much money on this kid. I do like him. I do think Zellhuber is a talent, but Ribovics is a dog, and that was the difference there. It wasn't so much the skill set and the length and the boxing ability and stuff like that and the power. It was more of the way I watch these guys fight so far in the UFC. Zellhuber is more of a technician, works behind a good jab, but he didn't really show me that dog like that Ribovics had. So that's when I said, there's a lot of value here on this kid. So we placed a wager on him and he hit. However, Zellhuber did show me in this fight that he is a dog, because this is a kid that did not quit. So proved it to me in the fight, but didn't prove it to me beforehand. I went with Ribovics. It worked out. And Ronaldo Rodriguez, another one where this is the only fight that I picked him to win, but I didn't pick the deciding factor, the end game of the fight. I thought Ronaldo Rodriguez would finish him at some point, and he did it and went to the cards. But overall, really, really good card. I mean, the Aldana fight was one fight that I did get wrong. I did pick Aldana. That could have been stopped at any time. That thing was... I haven't seen a cut like that in a really long time. But all the fights were good. Huge upset with Caitlin Sousa. That kind of flipped DraftKings on its head a little bit. The Josh Van came out, looked fantastic. So it was a really, really, really good card, especially for us. For us, when you have a card that kind of starts off a little bit slow, not a ton of action. I mean, some really good fights. Some. I enjoyed it a lot. A lot of people gave it a very low grade, to be honest with you, and I did it. If you're a real fight fan and you appreciate styles and matchups, and big deal, you didn't get a ton of finishes. Like, that's, who cares? You can have a fight that goes to the cards. That's amazing. The Zellhuber and Ribovics fight. I mean, how much more entertaining can a fight get? That third round was insane. Didn't end inside the distance. It went to the card. You don't always need an inside the distance fight to have a great fight. Like sometimes the ones that go to the cards are the best ones. They're the wars. They're the ones that are having a back and forth. So I never understood that when people kind of grade cards by the violence on the card as far as the finishing, upside on the card. I don't view it like that. I view it more along the lines of, yeah, it's nice to have some finishes in there, but it's also nice to have like some back and forth, like crazy wars. And we got that in this card. So I really did enjoy it from a viewer's perspective. Maybe I enjoyed it a little bit more because we did so well on the card and we hit some really prime dog spots and stuff like that. Maybe that's why I enjoyed it more. But overall, I thought it was a really fun card. As far as the experience from home, didn't really do anything different. I mean, a couple things. It was cool to visualize, like, wow, I wish I was there for that, or I wish I was there for that. But I'm sure the people that were there had a really fun time. Like, that was an experience. But at the end of the day, I don't need all that glitz and glam. Like, I come from the era of go to the fight, sit down, have a beer, and watch you, and the lights go down and you watch a good fight. Like, I'm there for the fights. I'm not there for the Broadway spectacle of it with all the elitists and stuff like that. That's not why I go to fights. So for me, it would have been cool maybe to see, but whatever. It's not my cup of tea for that kind of money. So now we move on. We obviously are in full swing with football. A lot of things going on in football. A lot of things. I mean, you're talking about a lot of injuries. You're talking about teams that you never thought would have the records that they have. The Niners are 1-2. The Bengals now are 0-3. We are in a suicide pool, me and Bush, that have about 4,500 people. Usually every year it goes straight to the end. This thing goes completely to the end. And it is down to 170 people. And this is the week we have to pick 2. So there's big money on the line in this one. This is a huge, huge pot. So we have to pick correctly. And hopefully we keep moving on because you're talking about some good change if we win this thing. So let's see what happens. But I don't think this one's going to the end of the year. So a lot of things going on in football. We're in full swing with football. Obviously, you guys know if you purchase the MMA package, you are getting football completely free. All our DFS, you're getting Derek's Contrarian Corner, you're getting J-Max Intel, you're getting my Intel, you're getting the Roster Bully, which is an awesome tool, kind of cuts everything out, it's good for the experienced user and it's good for the novice user. It's very user friendly, very cut and dry, gives you all our rankings, tells you if they're slate breakers, tell you if there's value on them, tells you to be cautious, to start them, to sit them. Very, very cut and dry. For mobile and desktop, it looks a lot better on desktop, but on mobile, you're getting mobile cards where you actually open up the player and a card opens up, which is really, really cool. Plus, you're getting all our wagers and stuff like that. So the value's there. Now we're on a straight shot with the UFC. We got UFC 307 coming up next week. So jump in, the madlabmma.com. You got nothing to lose. I mean, really. I mean, the value is there. We're not one of these companies that charge you a la carte for everything. We decided this year, you know what? If you're a part of the MMA package, we're going to give you what we got. So we're not bumping our price up. Just come over, give us a try. You will not be disappointed, especially from the point of just our community alone. Our community alone is worth its weight in gold. So let's jump over to this card now. We got a good fight card, Moicano versus Saint-Denis, BSD. I don't like some of the lines on this card. And there's one fight that I don't like where it is on the card. And we're going to discuss that now. But let's start off from the top. We got Moicano versus Saint-Denis. I don't think Moicano should be this much of an underdog, but I understand why. I have not picked the BSD fight wrong yet. Especially with the Dustin fight, where a lot of people thought BSD was going to beat Dustin Poirier in that fight. Huge step up in competition for him. It was a fight I needed to see more from him, almost like I needed to see it from Zellhuber. I needed to see him go deep. I needed to see him get into a foxhole with somebody and start slinging leather before I leaned on him against somebody like Poirier. I was proven right. He wasn't able to. Now, the people that bet BSD, they all came out, and they're still coming out. He had staph infection. He had this. He had whatever you want to say. That's if I don't personally believe that. I believe it could have been a small factor, but that's not the reason why he lost the fight. The reason why he lost the fight is because he goes from 0 to 60. He's got no middle line. He's got no speed limit. So when you get a car and you have, and you're on E, and how do you drive your car if you got to make it to the gas station? You're not jamming your pedal giving it all the gas. You're going to run out of gas. You got to drive it very conservatively. You got to drive, stop and go, not stop and go, but you got to you just got to coast. You got to get to the gas station. If you're slamming on the gas and you're braking and you're gassing, you're braking, you're going to run out of gas. And that's exactly what BSD does. That's what we see from him. He is all gas all the time. So can he go 5 rounds? I'm very highly skeptical that this guy can go 5 rounds. However, the state of the game with Moicano's chin and durability is something that may tell you this probably is maybe not going 5 rounds. So that's where it is. But Moicano is on a streak. This is a very important fight for both guys. Moicano, obviously, we know, has extremely high-level grappling. His striking has come a long way. He's actually a very good striker now, too. Problem is his chin is there to be served, his chin is there to be clipped, and his chin is there to be caught. BSD is a guy who is not going to let that fly quietly into the night. He's going to look to search for that chin. He's going to look to get aggressive, and he's going to look to get volatile. But did he learn a lesson from the fight with Poirier? Is he going to come out a little bit more reserved, or is he going to come out like a bat out of hell? There's a lot of question marks here that we really don't know on the BSD side. We know how Moicano's going to fight. We know that Moicano's going to come out. He's probably going to get rocked. Whether he survives or not, we don't know. But if this thing goes into round number 3, round number 4, round number 5, keep your betting windows open, because this is where value starts rolling in on Moicano a little bit. This is where you got to wonder, does Saint-Denis have it? Does BSD have it to be in the 4th or 5th round? Is he going to start dropping his hands? Is the power not going to be there? And is Moicano going to start coasting on him? Taking them down, maybe grapple and get some top control, or just coasting in the striking. Moicano's been in these situations before. So this, to me, is BSD early, Moicano late. I am picking BSD in this fight. I'm going to say BSD inside the distance. But if this thing goes into the 3rd round and beyond, have your windows open, man, because if there is a good value spot, if the money is plus money on Moicano going into the 4th and 5th round, that's something you might want to pull the trigger on. So official pick is going to be BSD inside the distance, but I don't agree with this line at all. Next one, we got Imavov and Brendan Allen. This is another one. I don't agree with 2 things on this. I don't agree with the line, and I don't agree with this fight spot. This deserves to be a fight night main event. This deserves to be a 5-round fight. I need to see this 5 rounds. I don't want to see this shit fucking 3 rounds. I don't want to see it. I want to see 5 rounds with these guys. You got 2 guys who can or match up very, very well together, and you're giving me 15 minutes. Give me 25 minutes. Give me 25 minutes with these guys. This is a very important fight for both of these guys. What are you giving me 15 minutes for? I don't see a finish coming in 15 minutes from these guys. I just don't see it. I see a finish coming maybe in the 4th and 5th, but more than likely even in a 5-round fight it might go to the decision. But in fact of the matter is I want to see these guys in the championship rounds. If this is a championship kind of eliminator fight, kind of, sort of, I want to see what these guys look like in the 4th, 5th round. I've seen what Brendan Allen looks like. I've seen what kind of both of them look like. But Imavov seems to gas out a little bit as time goes on. He's looked very good in some of his spots, more recent spots. Brendan Allen's obviously we know has looked great in a lot of his spots as of late, winning 6 straight. So it's a really good fight, but this has got to be 5 rounds. You're giving me a 3-round fight. You got to lean Imavov's way. You got to understand why he's a favorite. Now, you don't got to agree with it, but you got to understand why Imavov is a favorite in a 3-round fight. He moves well. He uses all his limbs very well. He uses his targets. He's always on his toes. He kind of, utilizes the entire real estate of the cage. So he can kind of dance and coast a little bit in a 3-round fight, picking and prodding, winning his way to rounds. Where Brendan Allen's going to try to kind of hunt them down, take them down. He's going to try to utilize his grappling a little bit. So the very different look. And as a judge, you got to wonder, are you taking the counter striker who's kind of dancing around and stinging you and looking pretty on the feet? Or are you going after the guy that's kind of trying to hunt them down, but maybe getting tagged in the process? So Imavov uses leg kicks really well. He's also a strong grappler. So like I said, this fight is almost like a small sample size of what it should be. If this thing goes to the cards, which I'm expecting it to go to the cards, and we're like, all right, well, that was kind of not really an orgasmic fight. I didn't have an orgasm on that fight. You're going to look at it and say, I wish I had those 4th and 5th rounds. However, when you're giving me value like you're giving me on Brendan Allen here, it's hard to overlook. It's hard to overlook. If you look at the guys that he's fought, right? He's fought all different suits of life. He's fought, Andre Muniz, very strong, decorated grappler. He's fought a guy like Chris Curtis, very strong striker. Like, he's fought a little bit of everything. He's fought the not just strikers and not just grapplers. He's been there and he's won. And he finds ways to win. Like, Brendan Allen finds ways to win, and he gets better and better and better every fight. Imavov does too. But, this is a fight where I can see both of these guys having their moments, both of these guys having their spots. And it's going to be the guy who kind of capitalizes on it and can keep it where it is. And I just think if Brendan Allen gets on top of him and can ground this fight and keep him there a little bit longer and stall, even if he has to stall a little bit to kind of rub out some time, I think there's value on him at plus 190, plus 200. I do. I think there's value. This thing should be more of a pick'em. If anything, because it's a 3-round fight, Imavov should maybe be like a minus 120, minus 130. At that tops 5-round fight, this should be a jet set pick'em at 5 rounds. So you're giving me Brendan Allen at like almost plus 200 odds. It's hard to pass up. It's hard, but I understand why you would, maybe because if it's a 3-round fight. But my official pick is going to be Brendan Allen. I'm going to say Brendan Allen by split decision. I think it's going to be that close. Next one. This is one I'm going to tell you guys to beware about. Gomes and Joanderson Brito. Joanderson Brito is over 3-1 odds in this fight against William Gomes. And the thing with this fight that scares me is you're looking at a guy in Brito where you're going to be tempted in DraftKings, especially in DraftKings. You're going to be tempted to just like throw him into your lineups, like throw him into your lineups. You might even be tempted to tie him into your parlays. The problem with this fight for him isn't that he's not better everywhere, because he is. He's got better power. He's a stronger fighter. He's aggressive. He's got black belt Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Like, he's got everything you need. The problem is he's fighting a guy who runs. This guy runs and runs and runs. He's like Forrest Gump. He runs all around the cage. Like, this guy's going to look to stab you and run, stab you and run, stab you and run. Now, that doesn't mean that he's necessarily going to win the fight, number one. But number two, when you look at it, you got to remember, okay, well, if you're playing DraftKings and you need to have, high score, if Brito's chasing him all around the cage, like, how is he supposed to score? It's like a greyhound chasing a rabbit. If the judges in France are looking at William Gomes now and saying, well, he was running, but he was stabbing him, and you see Joanderson Brito just kind of like almost getting, not in panic mode, but like getting tired of chasing him, where he starts doing stupid things. He starts loading up. He starts missing. Maybe he starts gassing out a little bit because he's chasing him down this whole time. Gomes might be able to sneak in and steal this fight by like some kind of crazy split decision. So I'm picking Brito to win this fight. I don't think Brito's going to finish him in this fight. I think a lot of people, you're going to see a lot of bets come flying in on Brito inside the distance. He still can. Listen, he still can 1,000% finish him inside the distance. He's got that capability and that power. But it's a bet I wouldn't go near. Like, I personally would not tie Brito into parlays. I would not do an inside the distance prop with Brito here. I think Gomes can do enough, even if he loses 30-27, just to kind of dance his skirt around the cage. So, dangerous fight. I'm going to pick Brito here, but there's no value on Brito at all in this spot. Next one, Giuseppe and Brian Battle. This is a good fight, actually. And this is a fight that's going to solidify, to me, not to you guys, but to me, whether I was really right or wrong on Brian Battle. I was never a fan of this guy. I respect him. He's definitely grown on me. He's gotten better. He's done more than I thought he would be able to do at this level. But I'm still not completely sold on this guy. And when you got a guy on the other side, and Kevin Giuseppe, that I'm not sold on him either, but I do have a lot of respect for him, and I do think he's a really good fighter. If Battle can like get by another guy like this, then I'll start to be a little bit more convinced on Brian Battle's ability. Brian Battle's a guy that's going to come out. He's going to throw a lot of volume. He's going to keep you at range. He utilizes that long frame to just kind of throw. And he's not like Gomes, where he just picks and prods at you. This is a guy who literally lets his hands go. So how do you X factor that? Do you want to keep up with him with volume? You can. Giuseppe's a guy who I wouldn't say throws as much volume as Battle, but he can keep up. You know what I mean? He's got a good stand-up. But the X factor for Giuseppe here is to take this to the ground. 3. Next one, we got Charrier and Miranda. For the life of me, don't ask me why they have this at like a minus 800. I get it. He should win the fight. I mean, I understand it. He's durable. He's got good power. It all kind of checks out, but minus 800, like he shouldn't be a minus 800 against anybody. I mean, not a lot of people should be a minus 800 against anybody. He's going against Gabriel Miranda, a guy who, at the end of the day, you know, is he a heavy underdog? Yeah, but he still has attributes. Like, he still has the ability with the long range, with his height, with his length, to make something happen. You know, so it's a fight where I'm not going near. I mean, maybe if I could find some props and stuff like that, I'll fish around with that. But I ain't going near this fight. I think that's ridiculous. I highly suggest you guys don't tie Morgan into parlays. I mean, how much are you going to move that? How much is the parlay going to move with a minus 800 anyway? You know, so, excuse me, guys. So, just a fight I'm not going near. I will go with Morgan in this fight. But like I said, nothing blows me away anymore, right? Nothing blows me away anymore. I've seen plenty +5, +6, +700 fighters come in. Nothing blows me away anymore. So I'll go with Morgan. But outside of that, that's all I got to say. The last fight that we're going to go over is Ziam and Frivola. Good fight. This is more of a fight where it's lined kind of correctly, right? You know, it's kind of not a pick 'em, but not really too far off. Ziam is long. He's rangy. He's a good striker. Obviously, you know Matt Frivola. This is a guy who comes forward. He's got good wrestling. There's some spots where he has a horrendous chin, and there's some spots where he looks like he has a good chin. So it's like, you know, what Frivola are you really going to get? I don't look at Ziam like some big finishing threat. I know he's got finishes on his record and stuff like that, but I don't look at him like this big finishing threat. I look at him more of a technician, rangy, utilizing his jab, keeping you off, good counter striker. You know, that's why I look at him, but I don't look at him like a guy who's got this will to finish you, like, which is good. If you learn anything about fighting, especially in like boxing and stuff like that, you kind of let the finish come to you. You don't go hunting for it. When you go hunting for a finish, that's when you lose. And I said that in my Discord last week when we were watching the fight between Torres. The Torres fight, when he got knocked down and he got up and he went right for, you know, to try to get it back, I said he's going to get knocked out again. And sure enough, within seconds, he got knocked out again, because you can't go searching for a finish. You got to let the finish come to you. And in a situation where you do get rocked, you got to wake your legs up. Like, there is a term where your legs go to sleep. Like, you got to wake your legs back up before you start hunting again. So, you know, for Ziam's like not a guy who goes hunting for finishes. He allows it to come to him, but Frivola's a guy who's going to be bringing the fight to him. And I think Frivola's going to use a heavy dose of wrestling here. You know, we all know that Frivola's got knockout power, so he can really gain Ziam's respect with one shot. Like, he will honestly respect him right away and really start backing up. But I think Frivola's going to utilize his power to kind of change levels, take him down, hopefully not get chinned, and control the fight and probably grind a decision out. Maybe even to finish late, but I'm going to go map for Frivola by decision. So, good card. We got a good card. We got a great schedule coming up. Like I said, UFC 307. We have Alex Pereira, Roundtree, Pennington, Juliana Pena, Aldo, Bautista, Caitlin Vieira, Harrison. So we've got a great schedule coming up. We also, before we get out of here, too, we have Kenzie's going for 5 in a row, is it? Or 4? 4? I think it's 4. 4 or 5 in a row with her pick of the week. So we are going to bring her in. We're going to try to keep this. You know, you have a nickname now, right? The Queen of Violence. So that's her name. We got the Queen of Violence.
Okay, boys and girls, I'm Mackenzie, the Queen of Violence, like Mike said. I'm here looking to go 4-0. We travel to France, where the steamroller takes his train to enemy territory against a French counter-striker in Ziam. Ziam is a damage control specialist in the sense where he fights to minimize damage and kind of keep the fight moving in a more tempered manner. Frivola is going to have to push a pace on Ziam in order to make this a fight. And even though it is in France, I think the judges should have the optics that are needed in order to send Frivola home with the win. So give me the steamroller at plus 115 to get the job done. Violence.
Now, what I'm going to do too, starting now, if you guys haven't signed up to the newsletter, go to the madlabmma.com, put your name in the newsletter, and it's free. It's not going to charge you anything. It doesn't ask for a credit card. It's free. So every week what I do is I send a free pick out. Yesterday was the free pick for the week. I had Christian Kirk over 45.5 yards. Wasn't a very popular bet, but it ended up hitting. So what I'll do also is with that free pick of the week, I will also be emailing Mackenzie's pick of the week out as well. So you guys can follow that because she's been on a hot streak. So get over to the madlabmma.com, sign up for the newsletter. If you guys want to test out our service, you won't be disappointed. Different tiers, different levels of memberships you can have. And that's it. I'll see you guys next week.